So last time we talked about all your career up until the point where you were sitting with us from Poland.
Right.
And without much else to add there, it sounds like it got very interesting very quickly since the last time we sat down with you. Take us through what happened.
Oh yeah. Poland that year I had just left Greece when I slipped on a sticker and tore my hamstring. So I mean, basically, I never got completely healthy the rest of that season. Um, Awful medical staff with that team. Every time I got to about 75%, it's 2, 3 practices a day doing extra stuff. And, hamstrings are tricky, so I just kept pulling it. So I think maybe a month before the playoffs, I get healthy, start rolling, probably averaging about 18, 19 in that span. And day before the playoffs, um, the game before the playoff, I think I tweaked it a little bit. So nothing major. I just felt it. So I set out the whole week leading up into the playoffs, and to give it a go. You want to be at your best in the playoffs. So I tried, to play in the playoffs, and it was just bumping heads with management, coaches. I think they didn't believe I was hurt. Um, so I played the first game of the playoff, and it just wasn't right. So I go to them. I'm like, look, I cannot, I can't play game two. Just give me a day. We were on the road. We probably weren't going to win. So I'm like, just give me a game, and when we come back home, I should be 100%. I basically just needed 4 or 5 days. They didn't believe I was hurt, and it was like a whole thing. Um, and basically, I just stopped playing because at that point, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna shut it down. Then you get treated unfairly. You try to say I'm not hurt. I've been hurt all year. You guys knew that. Um, I didn't get good medical advice. So, long story short, I ended up having to sue the team, take them to bat because they didn't want to pay me my last salary of that season. Um, so that's the short version. And I ended up going to court. It took about 6, 7 months because a lot of back and forth to put in, find a lawyer and pay the money. And I ended up winning the court case. Because it's obvious that I was hurt. I have scans, I had text messages, but just going through that whole thing was like the amount of emotional stress that I had to deal with that year. It was crazy, to be honest. So I mean, it's just tough. You had a whole year, basically injured. Every time I got rolling, it was a setback because I'm the type of guy. If I can walk, I'm trying to play. Um, and so for me, it was like when I finally said, "Yo, I can't." Daryl Monroe always gets on me like, "Bro, if you hurt, like sit down." Like, and I always try to play. And so I finally listened. It was like, "Yo, I can't play. I need a game. I need to get 100% because me coming to keep playing games at 65, 75%, like, is really doing myself a disservice, especially in the results based job. Like everything is strictly on numbers and wins and it's performance based. So if I'm not my best, I'm really doing myself a disservice. So that was
So
just mentally exhausting.
So you talked about the BAT, which is the Arbitral Tribunal, which is through FIBA. As you said, you had to get a lawyer. You said you have text messages. This is kind of, I don't want to say this is my area. My day job is as a lawyer. It's obviously not necessarily with BAT and FIBA, but
Mm.
um, you know, I know kind of like what it takes to make a case, and usually when you have a lawyer, it's somebody that's there to guide you and supposed to make your life, easier. But from a basketball player's perspective, where you're having to go to bat, and like you said, you knew you had the text messages, you knew you had the scans, but kind of take us through exactly like, how long this kind of case lasts. And I think you also hit on it too, where you're talking about like, the emotional stress of it. You don't necessarily know it's going to go your way. You have a pretty good idea it's going to go your way, but like kind of
Right.
take us through like how long this was and, just kind of the pain of, I hate to say it, but having to go hire a lawyer. And then obviously I would hope your end result is like it was a good result.
Oh yeah. Well, the process was, I try to do everything without court, but I try to go meet with them. Because like I said, I didn't play the last 2 games of the playoffs. Like they didn't want me to play. Like, nah, he's kind of like, is he really not hurt? I'm just going through a lot, like back and forth with them. And I'm like, look, man, like, why wouldn't I want to play in the playoffs? I know nobody that does not want to play in the playoffs. If I could play, I'm going to play. I can't. So I tried to go meet with them. They didn't want to talk. And then you dealing with, people that are just going to lie. Like they lied and tried to say it wasn't that serious of an injury. Like, I don't know how they gonna tell me how my body feels when it's on the scan. Um, so that's just that. Like, I try to basically just give them a chance because I'm like, you're not gonna win this. And lawyers are expensive. Like, you have to pay. I have to pay my side of it, their side of it, because they won't pay. So I mean, all together, to even start the case, it was like 10,000 euros. So obviously, I don't want to fork up that money for money I've already worked for and earned. But it got to a point I had to do it because they weren't budgeting. So I had to find a credible lawyer that specializes in this. It's not like a civil case. This is sports related. So I went and got a good lawyer out of Germany. He works with a lot of EuroLeague guys, and yeah, just started the process of collecting all the information, everything I had. I had to get statements from teammates saying, corroborate my story, basically. And it just was a process. And I think it went back and forth because this wasn't like a cut. Like, this wasn't a simple case. Like, normally the teams just don't pay and it's easy. Like, they didn't pay. You show the contract. It's not really much to go back and forth about. But in this case, they had to look at both sides. That had to look at both sides. So I might have started it last October, maybe, when it officially got filed. And I mean, I won the case in maybe March. So it took 5 months or so just of going back and forth. But they didn't pay me that May. So it almost took a full year for the verdict to come in from when I started it. And even then, I ran into problems. Like, they got the money seized. I still haven't got the money. I'm still working on getting the money. They got it seized because they said I had some tax things going on in France, which I didn't know anything about. So they lost the case, got real petty and in their feelings that they lost, and basically gave my money to a third party that had nothing to do with it. And then when I found out about it, I'm like, what? I don't have nothing in France. I hit my French agent and going through that process. Come to find out, I had owed nothing in France. So they got my money seized for nothing. Now I'm currently in the process of going through the French tax authorities to get that money back to this day. So I still haven't got that money.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.